Babylock Jazz 2 has the strength to go through multiple layers. And there are going to be times where you're going to be working on a project and you're going to have several layers of fabrics and different types of fabrics. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make sure that our machine is set up. And we're on that straight stitch. And then we're going to make sure that that needle is sitting in that center needle position. And we have a stitch length of between 2 and 2.5. The other thing that I always make sure that I have engaged is that needle stop in the down position. And that's going to be really important when you're working with multiple layers, because you're going to be having to do a fair amount of adjusting when you're sewing, taking out clips and things like that, or just adjusting your fabric edges. The first thing I'm going to do is I am just going to create a seam, and this is denim, and I've got a 5/8 inch seam. This would be similar to making a pair of pants or a jacket or possibly a bag. When I come to the end, a needle comes out, I'm going to clip these threads. Now what you would do at this point is, if this were a garment, is I would actually hem this garment. Now you can press the seams open, but I'm going to actually press that seam to the side, and I'm going to finger press that seam. So what that's done is that now has created at this junction point 3 layers of fabric. My 2 layers from my seam allowance and my layer from my actual garment. Now if I'm hemming this, I'm going to hem that up 1, and I'm actually going to take it 1 more time. Okay, a lot of pants hems will oftentimes, or a lot of hems will have a double layer hem in there. And what that does is that adds weight so that that garment hangs straight, or is in a sense weighted down, so that you don't have something eking or pulling back up. So now my goal is to actually hem this pair of faux pants. We're going to start at the end, and we're going to stitch up to our seam. Now typically when you get to this point, what you end up doing is having to use some type of aid to help that presser foot come up the hill, stay on the hill, and then come down the hill. And what that aid does is it allows that presser foot to easily glide over this thickness without changing or adjusting the seam length, or the stitch length, I should say. And you can see how easily we walked up the hill, on top of the hill, or over the hill, and down the hill, and then we came to the end. We're going to take our needle out of our fabric, and where you would notice if you were having difficulty is your stitch length would change between the start and then over the hill and then across. And you can see that our stitch length has not been adjusted or has not changed going over that thickness. So again, what is happening is that the machine is powering over that thickness as it comes to it without any aid. We're coming to that hill, and you can see it just rides over that hill and rides right on down that hill. Needles out of the fabric, and then when you look at your stitching, again, that stitch length, has not changed. So now that we've looked at hemming, our next exercise I want to show you is going through another thickness, and this is actually marine vinyl, and it's been folded so that I have 6 layers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch through the marine vinyl, and then I'm going to go from the marine vinyl onto the cotton voile. There's going to be projects that you're going to run across where you are working with something heavy like a marine vinyl in layers, but you'll need to use something lightweight like a cotton, for instance, for possibly a lining in a bag. So we're going to start our stitching, and as I approach the end of my marine vinyl, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop with the needle in the down, and I'm going to raise that presser foot. And I'm going to slide this cotton voile underneath the marine vinyl, so you can really see how it goes from one fabric to the nest. Next, what I'm trying to eliminate, so you understand, is I don't want that thread chain in between my marine vinyl and the cotton voile. I actually want it to go seamlessly from one fabric piece to the other. So as I'm stitching, you can see it went right onto that cotton voile. And I'm just going to move that marine vinyl out of the way, and we're continuing to stitch on the cotton voile. As I come to the end, I'm going to stop. I'm going to take my needle out of my fabric, use the thread cutter on the side, which I think is a very convenient location. And you can see I went from marine vinyl, literally my next stitch was onto that cotton voile, and it moved right across that cotton voile without adjusting that stitch length between those two fabric types. So as you can see, the Baby Lock Jazz 2 can handle heavy or thick fabrics and transition into lighter weight fabrics with ease.